What is up, YouTube? My name is Matt Modi. My full-time role is as a data analyst and content creator for OddsJam.com. And in this video, I'm just going to teach you about how I made over $15,000 positive expected value betting with OddsJam. So for those of you who have been following along, I came out with a video about a couple months ago when I hit the 10K mark. I am now over the 15K mark. I'm actually at 16.5K, as you can see here. So I'm just going to give a little bit of an update and talk about how I've been using OddsJam to make this money betting on sports. I bet on sports obviously part-time. I work for OddsJam full-time. I'm a part-time sports bettor. When I first started using OddsJam, it was in the beginning of football season last year, 2021, and my bankroll was $500. In my first week of using OddsJam, I profited over $250. I didn't bet a ton because I didn't really know what I was doing, if I'm being honest, but the first week I profited $250, so I was like, well, that's pretty nice. So the next week, I decided to, I didn't up my bankroll because I was still, I was still a little bit risk averse, but I just bet more. I had a higher volume of bets. I profited over $500 in my second week. Just the second week, not including my $250 I made in the first week. So that's about over $750 that I made in the first 2 weeks of using OddsJam. The third week, I profited over $600. Again, just in that third week, the 7-day span. So my first 3 weeks of using OddsJam, I profited over $1,100. And I didn't really know what I was doing. So as I've been using OddsJam, I've been continually upping my bankroll to where it sits now at $10,000. So I started with $500. I worked my way up to a now $10,000 bankroll, and I've managed to profit $16,500 part-time using OddsJam. And the part-time part is important because it's not like I was doing this as my full-time job, right? It's just a side income, which is really nice. So what you see on the screen here, and I guess I'll back up and say every single bet that I've placed in that year, I don't know, year and a half, little less than year and a half time frame from September 2021 till now, recording this in December 2022. Every single bet that I've placed it using I've tracked it, I should say, using the OddsJam bet tracker. So the information that you see on the screen here is pulled from the OddsJam bet tracker, and every single bet that I've ever placed feeds into this data. So what I wanted to highlight here is this profit over time monthly. So again, I've been using OddsJam for about 16 months, and I have only had 3 down months using OddsJam. So that's like 12, 13 months that are up, including December when I'm currently up $760. I will say for about 10 days, I was in a non-legal betting state, so I wasn't able to lock anything in December. So this number is a little bit lower. We'll see how it ends toward the end of the year. I got a couple weeks left, but only 3 down weeks using OddsJam, 3 down months using OddsJam over the course of 16 months. That's really good. Now, the unfortunate part of that, of course, was that it was over like a 3 down months in a 4-month span. Luckily, July was great, 2,800 in July. May, not good. June, not good. August, not good. It sucked that it was in a 3 out of a 4-month span, but still, 3 down months over 16 months is really, really good. So before I get into my actual strategy, I do just want to highlight variance in sports betting. It's an unfortunate reality. You're not going to win every single bet. You're not going to profit every single day, week, month, but you will be profitable in the long run. Positive expected value betting, which I'll get into right now, is when you are placing bets that are mathematically profitable. You are placing bets that have an edge over the sportsbook. So if you already know what positive EV betting is, then you already know this, but for those of you who don't, it's incredibly important just to understand the concept behind it. So positive expected value, the literal definition of positive expected value is when you are placing bets that you know as the sports bettor have a better chance of occurring than the reflected odds of the sportsbook. So we are placing bets that we know is going to hit at a better rate than what the odds are that the sportsbook is giving us. Now that sounds like a mouthful, so let me explain that in piece by piece. Let me use an easier example. Let's talk about flipping a coin. So you flip a coin 1,000 times, 50% of the time you're going to land on heads, 50% of the time you're going to land on tails. But let's pretend that we are actually flipping a weighted coin. So instead of the coin landing on heads 50% of the time, it's going to land on heads 55% of the time. The person I'm placing the bet with, they don't know that. We do. We know that we have a weighted coin. Who I'm placing the bet with, they don't know that. So I'm going to place a bet on heads every single time. Yeah, 45% of the time I'm going to lose, and that's going to be really annoying. But I know that it's going to land on heads 55% of the time. And I'm only getting 50-50 odds. So that 5% gap will be profitable. In the long run, over 1,000 bets, I should win. I should hit heads 550 times and tails 450 times. That'll be profitable because the odds I'm getting are even money, which even money in the sports betting terms is plus 100. So to go back to the definition of positive expected value, so positive EV, right? If you remember, when you're placing bets that we know as the sports bettor have a better chance of occurring, so we know that it's going to land on heads 55% of the time, than the reflected odds of the sportsbook. We are getting 50-50 odds, which is plus 100. That is positive expected value. The wider the gap between the percent chance that the bet hits and the odds that you are getting is the higher expected value, right? That if the coin is weighted 60% towards heads, that's an even bigger gap between what you're getting from the sports books. So that's the concept behind positive expected value. Now, you're going to ask the question, okay, but now let's actually put it into sports betting. How do you know what percent chance the bets are going to hit, right? How do you know that a bet's going to hit X percent? And that is where OddsJam comes into play. And that's I want to explain that using OddsJam and talk about how valuable of a tool OddsJam is when it comes to that. So everything in terms of the odds, you want to know from the no vig odds. You want to look at these no vig odds you see here. So if you're watching this video and you haven't yet signed up for OddsJam, I would at least recommend signing up for a free trial. It's 7 days, completely free. Doesn't cost you any money. That's what free trial means. And just play around with the positive EV tool and use the strategies that I'm talking about in this video. Since your 7 days is free and you want to actually place these bets, you can, just maybe at a little bit of a lower dollar size until you familiarize yourself. But I definitely recommend playing along with me as I'm going through the video so you can really understand by actually doing it yourself. But anyways, no vig odds. So this is where we get the percent chance of the bet hitting. It's pulled from these no vig odds. So let's just use this random college basketball example. And yeah, you can bet on sports that you don't know. Actually, it's sometimes better to bet on sports you don't know because you don't have any preconceived notions. It's all about the data. But the play that we were looking at, Cal Poly versus San Jose State. Looks like the bet is at minus 110 odds at BetMGM. So that's actually what we are going to go place. It's blue. It's outlined in blue. It's bolded. This is the actual bet that we are going to place. The no vig odds that we see here looks like they priced this at minus 117.63. And this number right here is very, very important. So these no vig odds are viewed as the quote unquote true line of what a market should truly be priced at. So in terms of, if we want to go back to the definition, at bets that we know have a better chance of occurring than the reflected odds of the sportsbook, the no vig odds is where the odds that we know, percent chance that we know the bet's going to hit. And here's how it works. So OddsJam back tested thousands and thousands and thousands of betting opportunities, right? Over a long period of time, back tested a bunch of thousands of betting opportunities, collected all of this data, right? Millions and millions of data points, just trying to learn, trying to determine, all right, what sportsbooks consistently do the best job at pricing odds, right? Not all sportsbooks are created equal. And if you want to learn about kind of why that's the case, I can explain that briefly. But sportsbooks, all they're doing, they just want to get 50-50 payout on each side, right? They want to, so no matter who wins, no matter who loses, whether the total goes over or under, they just want to pay out 50% of the winnings on each side. So as soon as one side gets more money, they're going to make that more expensive, enticing people to buy the other side. And because there are, depending on your state, like in Colorado, there's like 26 different sports books. Not every single sports book is going to receive money the same exact way, right? The more money a sports book receives on an over, the more expensive that over is going to be to buy. So if people are hammering this under, they're going to move it to 121, or excuse me, they're going to move it to 120, 119 and a half, 118 and a half, depending on how much they hammer it. Well, like I said, not every sportsbook receives money the same exact way. So one sportsbook, for whatever reason, just might not have as much money on that side. Or some sportsbooks limit how much action they will accept on a certain market. So the sharp sportsbooks, they don't have those limits. They accept money from everybody, from everywhere. So the sharp sportsbooks are going to have tighter odds. They're going to have better odds, more reflective of the betting market. More often than not, those sportsbooks are going to be the more accurate ones. So OddsJam backtested, to go back to that, thousands of betting opportunities to learn what are these sharp sportsbooks, right? What are the sharp ones? And then let's say there's 5, right? They collect odds from those 5 sportsbooks and remove the VIG, and I'll explain that in a second, using a weighted average. So if there's 5 sportsbooks, 3 of them are really good, 2 of them are good but not as good, they're gonna weight the 3 heavier than the other 2, right? And then they're gonna remove the VIG. So the VIG, let me talk about the VIG for a second, because that's another very important concept. So how do sportsbooks make money? They charge a VIG, they charge juice to odds. And what I mean by this is, so we see the market here, minus 110. Oh, didn't mean to click that. We see minus 110 each way. I guess the odds change on this specific one, but the odds don't matter. We see minus 110 on, that's a normal odds that we see on a play, right? Minus 110 each way. So what minus 110 odds mean is you have to risk $110 to profit $100 both ways. So if I bet, so I like the over, right? I'm going to bet $110 on the over. You like the under. You're going to bet $110 on the under. Let's say the under hits. So you win your bet. You will get $210 returned to you. You'll get your $110 risked. You will get your $100 in profit, $210. Well, the sportsbook, they collect $220. My 110, your 110, but they only pay out 210. So that $10 difference is the juice, is the VIG. It's how sportsbooks make their money. So you multiply that $10 by how many bet, like, thousands and thousands and thousands of bettors across even more betting opportunities. And yeah, you start to see why BetMGM can pay for Jamie Foxx and Kevin Garnett and their commercials, and Barry Sanders, and why Caesars can pay for the Manning family and their commercials, and why FanDuel can have a literal TV station dedicated to FanDuel TV, right? It's how they make their money. They charge a VIG. So removing the VIG gives you the true line, gives you the true line of what a sportsbook is pricing a market. So minus 110 each way. If you remove the VIG, that's plus 100. The sportsbook doesn't know if the over or the under is more likely, so they're charging it the exact same. That's plus 100. They're basically saying, we think this is a 50-50 bet, but we want to make money, so we're going to charge up the odds 10 cents each way. That's the VIG. So to get back to the no VIG odds example, OddsJam backtested thousands of betting opportunities, determined, and this is just for an example, these 5 sportsbooks do the best job at pricing odds. We're going to take these 5, we're going to remove the VIG using a weighted average, and here we have it, the no VIG odds, right? The no VIG odds can be viewed as the perfect line, the true line of what a market should be priced at. And in terms of, to talk about percentages, to go back to the definition of positive expected value, all odds have an associated, or win percentage associated with them, right? So plus 100, I said, means 50-50. Minus 200 means about 66%. Basically, if a bet is at minus 200 odds, the sportsbook thinks that it has a 66% chance of hitting. But if you're on the positive EV page and you click this calculator, you see this win percentage here? These are pulled from the no VIG odds. So the sharpest sportsbooks in the world are saying, hey, we think that this bet is going to hit roughly 54% of the time. That is what the odds, the percentage chance of the minus 117.63 odds. That equates to a win percentage of 54.05%. Well, what are the odds that minus 110 equate to? What's that win percentage? Well, if you want to check that out, go to calculators, go to odds converter calculator, and just type in the odds. In this case, minus 110. So minus 110 has a win percentage of 52.38. So basically, the sharpest sportsbooks in the world, the most accurate sportsbooks in the world, say that this bet should hit roughly 54.05% of the time. We are betting this at minus 110, which only has a 52.38% win percentage. So basically we think, and to get back to the definition, we know as a sports bettor that this bet is going to hit 54% of the time, but BetMGM is giving us odds that only reflect a 52.38% win percentage. There's your positive expected value, right? That gap between the 54 and 52.4% gives you your positive expected value. So that's what everything means. And as I mentioned, the bigger the gap between the no vig odds and the odds of the bet that we are placing, the higher this percentage. This percent here can be viewed as your expected value percent, can also be viewed as your expected profit margin. So that is what positive expected value betting means. That is why whenever you see positive EV, you see plus EV, whatever you may see, this is exactly what it means. We are placing bets that have some sort of profitable win percentage associated with them. So that's great. Next question you're going to ask. Okay, so that's how you made 16K. You bet every single play on the positive EV page, right? You just bet every single one. It's actually not the case. So once you have identified a play as positive EV, and when I say identified, I mean you wake up, you roll out of bed, you go to the OddsJam positive EV tool. That doesn't mean you should just hammer every single one of these bets. Yeah, every single one is going to have some sort of profitability associated with it, but I recommend doing additional research before placing the bet. And I don't mean, okay, so here's a play, Saints-Browns, Saints +5. All right, I'm going to research the matchup. I'm going to look at how do the Saints are away, the Browns are at home. I don't mean any of that. What I mean is anywhere that is highlighted blue, like here, if you click open a play, it pulls up where every sportsbook is pricing odds for this play. And all you want to do, you want to compare the bet that you're placing. So this new one that popped up here looks like it's the Saints +5 at -125 odds. We know it's positive EV, and this is actually a huge one because the no vig odds price it at -148, right? Basically -148. We know that it's positive EV, but the next step you want to do, you want to compare the bet that you are placing to the odds of the rest of the sports books. And basically, in the end goal here, you want to make the determination, is the bet that I am placing an outlier compared to the rest of the sports books, right? -125, how is that reflected to the rest of the sports books? Well, let's look. Pinnacle, and this is important, Pinnacle / the OddsJam line, these are the same. Pinnacle is the sharpest sports book in the world. So in terms of, like I mentioned, the sharp books, Pinnacle is given the heaviest weight. Pinnacle is the sharpest. They price this at -175. That's 50 cents higher than what Caesars is giving us at -125. That's awesome. Next up, DraftKings has this at -168. That's what, 27 cents higher, 47 cents higher than we are getting it at? That's great. Next up, BetMGM at -165. That's 40 cents higher. So this is 43. Sorry, math at the top of my head. But BetMGM has it at 40 cents higher. So the other three sportsbooks that price this have odds that range from 40 cents to 50 cents higher than what we are getting it at Caesars. That is insane. This is an awesome play. It's rare that you will find an outlier as big as this. And as you can tell, the EV percent is about 7.4%. This is a really, really good play. The majority of plays you'll see are closer to the 2 to 1% that we see here. So another question I get, okay, so we want to bet on outliers. Cool. How big does the outlier need to be in order to bet it? It's a great question. And I don't have like a rule, like if every single book is 10 cents higher, 15 cents higher, whatever. All you want to do, you want to compare the rest of the sports books to the bet that you're placing. If every book is an outlier, is different than what you are placing, that's a good bet. So we can look at plays. Like I'm looking at a play 1%, 0.93%, 0.91%. These are lower level plays. I still take plays this low. So let's look at these lower ones and I can tell you exactly what we're looking for here. So here's one that's less than 1%. So we want to compare, okay, the play looks like it's an under in a college basketball game, -110 odds at Caesars, no vig odds at -112. Okay, cool. Well, let's look at the rest of the sports books. So one of them is closer. Looks like BetMGM is 5 cents closer at -115. But look at every other book, right? 12 cents higher at BetRivers, 18 cents higher at Pinnacle. That's important. 20 cents higher at PointsBet, and 25 cents higher at DraftKings. So even though this is a lower EV percent, look, like every other sportsbook prices this pretty significantly more likely to occur than the minus 110 at Caesars. This is a lower EV percent. This is still a really good one. So all we're looking for is you want to compare the sharp books like Pinnacle. You want to compare them to the rest of the betting market. So if the majority of the other sportsbooks are closer to Pinnacle than they are the bet that you're placing, that is a good enough outlier for me. That's all I look for, right? The difference between Pinnacle and the rest of the sportsbooks. So we can look at one more just to really hammer this home. This is 0.91%. This is a player prop. So I'm glad this showed up. So BetOnline is another sharp sportsbook. So the two I compare to the most is Pinnacle and BetOnline. So let's look at the play. Looks like it's a Kevon Looney for the Warriors-Knicks game over 2.5 assists. The play is minus 110 at BetMGM. Well, Pinnacle prices this at minus 118. That's 8 cents higher. BetOnline prices this at minus 120. That's 10 cents higher. And every book actually has it even above the Pinnacle and BetOnline line. Like we see minus 125, and then we see like in the high minus 130s. Now, these are probably priced too high, but this is also priced too low. So this is a really good opportunity, this minus 110 at BetMGM. And that's exactly what we're looking for. So I know this is a long-winded way, a long video of saying what we're looking for when we're positive expected value betting. So to answer the original question, how did I profit over $16,500 betting with OddsJam? I used the OddsJam positive expected value page, and I bet on outliers. I looked at every single play, and I looked at where every other sportsbook is pricing it. This is an awesome play, an awesome play. Pinnacle has it 16 cents higher, and then every book has it minus 135, minus 135. An awesome play. And I did this for every single positive expected value play that I actually bet myself. So I looked into every single one, and I said, is this an outlier or not? If the answer was yes, I bet it. If the answer was no, then I didn't. It doesn't matter what the win percentage is. Like this bet is at plus 140. It only has a 42% win percentage. I would still hit it. This top one is at minus 131. Really steep odds at minus 131. I'd still hit it. So that's going to be it in terms of positive expected value betting. I hope this all makes sense to you. If it doesn't, or even if it does, I would love to hear from you. Give me your feedback in the comments of this video. You can reach me directly, Matthew@oddsjam.com. If you want to get set up with a free trial or with a plan or whatever, you can reach out to our customer service team at contact@oddsjam.com. But that's going to be it. I hope this video was helpful for you guys. I hope it made sense. I appreciate everybody watching, and have a good one.